stacked up here. Look at that fourth car in line there. That's Dane Cameron. He's leading the Pro-Am field, but then they're going to switch over to their amateur teammates midway through this race. Just a reminder on the format, 90-minute duration. That mandatory pit stop for that driver change, fuel and 4 tires happens between the 40 and 50-minute mark. So this start of this race is going to be really fiery.
You bring up a good point. In those AM cars, you got Cameron. Right behind him, Ryan Dial, Colin Brown, and the number 04, Kyle Marcelli, Matt Plum. I mean, it's amazing.
It was a great battle yesterday. Expect more of the same at the drop of the green today.
Again, 90 minutes of competition. If you're just joining us for the first time this year, stretched it out by an extra 30 minutes and added a little bit of intrigue into the pit stops, too.
It really has, and 60 seconds is the minimum amount of time that you can spend on pit lane. Just driving down costs you 26, so you got about 34 seconds to work with. That's getting the driver change done, 4 new Pirelli P0 strapped on and topping it up with fuel. That's a lot of work to get done. There's not a big margin there for error.
There were only a couple of teams that got within a couple of seconds of that. A lot of teams were 7 to 15 seconds over.
They're going to try and tighten that up overnight. Certainly to look at data in terms of setting the race car up for today, but I think the main thing is how do we execute that pit stop? That can be a game changer.
Look here at these amazing uphill or climbing S's, as they call it here at Virginia International Raceway. Cars, a lot of power in these cars, but massive downforce, as you pointed out. They just dance up through that section of track.
They really do. It's an old school racetrack, Greg. It's just a beautiful ribbon of asphalt there up through the climbing S's, but it's very demanding. And as we saw yesterday, a couple of the favorites in our championship, Hargrove, Baptista, the margin for error is so small here. Big risk, high consequences.
And the oak tree turn, it catches you out if you get it wrong. We've seen that, but you have to get it right to have a fast run down the longest straight here.
You really do. It's a key corner, getting the power down, getting the traction down. Don't burn those Pirelli P0s off too early in case there's a reset. You need something to fight with to the checkered flag.
All right, field's starting to pack up. You see they have a secondary pit lane when they can split this long track into 2 different segments. Unused today, other than a place for fans to gather and watch these remarkable machines as they set off in this 4th round of the championship for the Blancpain GT World Challenge America. The field stacking up behind the official pace and safety vehicle, the Acura NSX. As we are getting ready to go, there is a look at the top of what they call the roller coaster, and the field making its way in. Lights are out. The pace car starting to ease away, Cal. We are getting ready for the green flag, and this one should be spectacular. Andy Soucek will be on pole inside in the Bentley, and alongside Tony Vilander, who was closing at the end of the race. He's anxious. Great onboard shots.
2 championship leaders sit alongside each other on the front row as we come on at that front straightaway. Soucek in the green Bentley on the inside. What will Vilander do here at the initial start?
Everybody lined up beautifully per instructions from race control, but when it goes green, it is green. You can race. We're up on the start stand with this camera. Green flag flies. Round 4 underway at Virginia International Raceway. Vilander going to swing, try and use the grip on the race line on the outside, Cal. He may have made that work, but Soucek fighting back.
Oh, Vilander had to check up. Cameron was almost into the back of him. That allows DL to run to the inside.
Vilander just a little bit too hot, floated wide, and look at this move.
Hargrove to the outside, trying to make amends after his mistake yesterday. Almost loses control on the exit of turn 3.
Pushing hard early, tires not up to temp and pressure, but the good guys, they find speed in a hurry, and Vilander has plummeted.
We saw that yesterday with Miguel Molina. He struggled for grip in the early lap. Now he's surrounded and trying to put the pressure on Cameron as they head to the S's.
And here we go, folks. This is one of the glorious parts of this facility, the climbing S's. And even on cold tires, they have immense potential for speed through this section of track.
Tire pressures are not there. You don't have the ground clearance. With the pressures not up, you don't have the temperature yet. This is where he made a mistake yesterday. Scott Hargrove, now he leads the field.
Everybody has to be a little bit cautious through that turn, especially into it. And now the run down the long back straight in Hargrove in that Porsche Consulting Wright Motorsports Porsche. What a phenomenal opening lap thus far.
That car has just come alive. A lot of that down to the starting pressures on those Pirelli P0s. They want to try and get the track position. They have to rebound after 0 points yesterday. Here comes Cameron. Takes DL. The Acura is up to 3rd and leads Pro-Am.
That was remarkable, and obviously you can see that the Mercedes of DL had snuck around Cameron in that group start. Cameron wasted no time getting back to the point in Pro-Am.
They could have been a real factor for the victory yesterday, but Brett Kurtz got that drive-through penalty for the touch with Martin barking. Now Wielander, he's on the attack. Remember, points are scored on your overall finishing position despite him fighting with the Pro-Am division right now.
And Tony will have the hackles up, won't he? He does not like losing spots here at the start. And he lost a bunch, and he's going to try and fight through, but Vial, pretty tough character.
Got to tread carefully, but he has so much experience as things start to settle down a little bit. Soucek looks good in that Bentley, just trying to keep the Porsche in his sights and see what happens over this long green flag run, hopefully.
Well, there's a little bit of extra motivation for the R Ferry team and drivers because of the 7 venues they're racing on this year. This is the only one where they don't have an overall victory.
Just such a great pairing last year. Tony Wielander, Miguel Molina, both Ferrari factory drivers, hadn't competed together before. They immediately went on to win an Split championship. So much success, such a great team. And they're looking for more this year. They want the hardware.
All right, here we go once again into Oak Tree. Beautiful tree there for so many years. A few years ago, it was felled during a big storm. But the challenges of that corner certainly remain. We hop on board with a very rapid fin, Tony Wielander.
Like a dyno run down this long backstretch. Aero effect kicking in. It'll be picking up the draft. See Cameron up there ahead, just stretching things a little bit in that third position. Ryan has been right on form this weekend. Car is hooked up. They did a test here, got a couple of days in. Really comfortable with the balance. And David Askew, his teammate, did an equally impressive job here yesterday when they had a podium finish.
That was down the ride of the roller coaster, the last turn called Hog Pen. Back in the day, there used to be a farm and a hog pen off to the side. Boy, Wielander getting a nice little run here, Cal.
Very late on the brakes. He pushes down in there. This is tight. They're almost touching. Dial has got a little tap there. He's sideways, fighting for position here.
Dial having none of that, holds his ground. Wielander now going to try and cut underneath. Oh, and this is where Skeen laid a pass on Murad last year. He made it work, Cal.
Watch behind this battling duo, though. Soulé has made some moves. He's got around Colin Brown.
Yeah, the number 3 started in the 6th overall spot. You're absolutely right. He dropped a little bit, comes back up through the pack now. Then Colin Brown, and then behind him is Marcelli in the number 80. Racer's Edge MBRP Performance Exhaust. Acura there with the white nose.
Great respect from Ryan Dial. He didn't want to give it to Tony Wielander, but he realizes he's in a different fight here today. Doesn't want to mess up our Ferry's championship charge. Things settling down at the front.
Well, this is one of those scenarios where that really didn't hurt either of those drivers. Wielander, he gets scored on the overall points. He wanted to get through. And for Dial, when push literally almost came to shove, doesn't hurt him at all in terms of the points to let a pro go by him. That was a great bit of judgment. Now, however, looking up in his mirrors, he is going to have to deal with a very fast Belgian driver and Max Soulé in the number 3 Bentley.
They came into the race yesterday as one of the championship leaders, but with that little mistake by Baptista, which is very rare. That young man's been so impressive. His Belgian teammate, Maxime Soulé, didn't put a great qualifying run together. Had to come from the 3rd row. Got to be patient here, and there's no easy pickings.
Well, this was the big breakout venue for Baptista last year when he and Soulé, as a Pro-Am pairing at that time, Cal, put together that dominant win in the first of the 2 races here and got an overall win. First time a Pro-Am pairing and won overall, and that was really sort of the breakout. And shortly after that, they said, yeah, and they need to become an all-pro pairing.
Big battle there. Looks like Brown and Marcelli getting really close to one another. Ferrari right behind them, hot on their heels. I think that may be Matt Plum, who had a great race here yesterday, but got a penalty for just making a pass on that restart a little too early.
Yeah, he was flying. He really has dialed up that Ferrari from 111 competition and putting on a good show. And of course, right behind him right now is Matt Campbell in the number 91. Wright Motorsports Henry Porsche, and is putting the pressure on. But right now, it is Scott Hargrove leading. Soucek with the Pro-Am of Dane Cameron running in 3rd. Pressure here, up on the back now. It's within a second at this stage of Dane Cameron.
He's running slightly slower lap times than all of the top three right now. So Vilander about 3 to 4 tenths off of the pace of the leaders.
The Ferry team is very adept at figuring out what the best strategy is in terms of starting a little lower pressure, having the car come in a little bit later, and then we've seen it at times when they think the model is the other way to go, and they execute that beautifully. They did that at Circuit of the Americas, and Soule right now continues to close in a little bit and put some pressure on Dial. This is the battle for 5th overall.
Yeah, this is a great racetrack for the Bentley. It's very well suited, as you can see, and roll a little bit more apex speed down into turn 1 than the Mercedes of Ryan Dial up ahead. They had a brilliant 2-day test, had a ton of laps, and came in here with high confidence. And then we had the rain here on Friday, which really prohibited some of their rivals from really catching back up again. So swept the both poles with the 9 machine yesterday, and then got that early victory with Parent and Soucek.
There you can see some of the margins that are unfolding. Cameron Vilander a little clear of Dial Soule, and they're equally clear of Colin Brown in the 04, that orange Mercedes with the black nose, the CrowdStrike Amazon Web Services car. There is Dial in that multicolored Usulco DXDT Mercedes, then the green Bentley.
Vilander's really closed in on Dane Cameron. Ferrari is coming alive. He's chopped about half a second off his previous best lap times. He's looking strong.
There they are. Red Ferry, Ferrari of Toronto, Alberta, and Ontario. Zeckelman Industries supporting that program. And how nice is it to have real-time, back full-time in World Challenge competition. Now the Blancpain GT World Challenge America, and of course running an Acura.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see those legendary colors, and in tribute to his uncle, who actually campaigned similar colors for Acura back in the early 90s in Camel Lights competition. Dane Cameron's actually painted his helmet exactly the same, and those bright green colors, you'll see that when we get a close-up shot. Pretty cool stuff.
So you're saying that is a car currently just loaded with homage to some legendary performances. And right now, Dane has a mirror that is loaded with Ferrari red, as Vilander is really pushing one to get to that 3rd overall spot. And Dane now, of course, still leading in the Pro-Am category in the real-time Acura NSX. The Porsche of Scott Hargrove continues to lead, but only by 1.4 seconds over the Bentley of Soucek. This is the stellar battle on the track. Tony Vilander closing in. Let's go back, Cal, take a quick look at the start once again.
Watch this. Watch Vilander as he gets down into turn 1. He tries to sweep to the lead. He can't get the grip. Watch Cameron. He stacks up right on him. That allows DL to cut to the inside in the aqua blue front end Mercedes, and he grabs that 3rd position early. And then Hargrove, what a move around the outside.
And he was on the edge. Look at that. Carries that slide, but dialed it up and held on to it. I'm wondering, do you think there was a touch between Soucek and Vilander at that point?
I'm not sure. It just looked like he went for the grip on the outside. It wasn't quite there. He had to check up, and it sort of like stacked the rest of the grid. Then you see that move by Cameron. Power move down the back straightaway and slices through to take the Pro-Am lead.
All right, as we go back to watching Vilander's pursuit of his 3rd overall spot in Dane Cameron, let's get down to the pits, check in with the 3rd member of our team, Ryan Marine.
Hey, thank you very much, Greg. And the story at the front of the field is really remarkable. Scott Hargrove, you touched upon the issue he had, the crash yesterday. What I didn't realize until speaking with the team on the grid was just how bad a shape that team was in after yesterday's race. They did not have the parts they needed to get that car fixed here on site. They had to send a couple of crew members south. They were able to source some parts from another Porsche team, Black Swan, based out of Daytona, Florida. That team sent the parts and some crew north. Wright sent some crews south. They met about 400 miles south of here in Savannah, got the parts, turned around, drove all the way back, got the repairs done. They turned a hardship lap this morning, but that was the only running this car had done in its repaired form. So for Scott to be so aggressive off the bat, put in a move like that, I think that speaks volumes for the confidence he has in his team and really his talent as well behind the wheel. Just a remarkable story of perseverance.
I think that was showcased very early last season. Remember at St. Petersburg, he ripped the corner out of his car prior to qualifying, bounced back, put it on the car and swept the weekend. So put on the pole and swept the weekend. So Scott Hargrove is willing to put it all on the line. He realizes it's high risk, high consequence, but he has the ability to bounce back. He is a very confident young man.
Great car control, as you can see there, and he's willing to get to that edge. And that's something that I've said many times. You know, good drivers can get to the edge. The great ones can live there. And that's what we're seeing in some of these performances here this weekend and thus far this season. And Hargrove, boy, I'll tell you, he has now stretched that margin, Cal, just setting fast lap of the race at a 1:45 flat. And that margin last lap has blossomed up to 2 seconds. Might even be bigger than that right now.
You know he will not have slept well last night. He'd have been thinking about that little tiny error that he made. We saw Baptista do it. He was just really pushing Soucek. He wanted the win yesterday. He's now got the track position on the Bentley. This is probably exactly how he drew it up last night in terms of making a statement today.
And from Soucek back to that battle for third, it's pushing 3 seconds behind this number 9 Bentley, the one with the yellow highlights. There's that exit of turn number 3, and you use every piece of real estate. And normally you get all 4 wheels over the backside of the curbing. This series, that would be a track limits issue, but the way that the white lines define the track here, some of them, the lines go behind the curb. And so the race director said, we need to give them a little bit more room. So basically we're saying in some of these areas, if it's paved, go ahead.
Yes, but ironically, we did see a few tire issues with drivers that were maybe climbing up over those curbs and exploring the boundaries of the racetrack. Oh, Cameron there, big moment on the exit of 10, just keeps it together. Pushing hard, feeling the pressure from behind. Maybe the tires are dirtied up a little bit there. He couldn't quite get the turn in for Oak Tree.
But that drop and then that rapid return, that's exactly the kind of thing that can get to the backside of the wheel and cut a sidewall, damage a wheel itself. Cameron, fortunate there. Oh, and a big move here. What a draft move.
That Bentley is strong down the end of the straightaways anyway, and Maxime Soulet closed right on the tail of Ryan Dial there coming out of Oak Tree. Picked up the draft, grabs the position.
Well, I wonder if Dial, does he have a problem? It looks like he's slowing, Cal.
He has got a problem. Wonder if it is a tie. He looks a little bit squirrely there coming down through the roller coaster, hitting pit lane, and this will not count towards that mandatory stop.
No, it will not, but you're right. That car just suddenly not looking very settled.
That's probably why Soulet was able to get right up on his tail so early in the straightaway and just blast by him.
It looked like Soulet was a little surprised because that he really had to juke to the left. You normally don't leave it to that tight of a margin as we hop on board once again with Vilander.
Let's watch that body language of that Acura up in front. They don't have a ton of miles real time. Here's a look at the run through 10. Just gets up on the curve, and oh, big save there. Just used the very end, got in the dirt, and still loaded. Nice recovery, but the Alferi Ferrari looks really strong now. Can Cameron hang on, and does he just start thinking about that Pro-Am lead and let the Ferrari go?
Well, that was one of the questions I was going to tee you up a little bit on here. They missed the opening round, so they're well back in the points. Are they thinking Pro-Am championship, do you think, for Brett, or are they thinking wins for Acura?
I think both. They'd love to tick both of the boxes, but the first thing is to try and get that class victory. They don't have a ton of miles with the car. Come at the box really strong, just did a shakedown, and then the Friday test day.
All right, well, this fabulous battle for third continues. Cameron finally gets a little bit of breathing room over Vilander. Today's coverage is brought to you in partnership with CrowdStrike and with Mercedes-AMG. Scott Hargrove in the Porsche Consulting White Motorsports Porsche. Had that margin up to over 2 seconds, but Soucek now, Cal, has trimmed it just a little bit. It's down to 1.6. As Hargrove feeds it through this seemingly never-ending turn 1. It's an increasing radius corner, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a tough one, and that little funnel effect through turns 2 and 3 is really demanding for guys who are getting side by side, as we saw yesterday with Curtis and Barkey, who had that nudge, and Barkey went flying off the road. Fortunately, not to the same consequences we saw early last year with Mike Skeen and Alvaro Perrin, who destroyed a Bentley in the same area of the racetrack. Cameron there hanging on to that third position, but Tony Vilander is definitely pushing hard. And Soule is gradually creeping into the picture as well in that second Bentley for K-Pax.
He's got an update, Ryan, in pit lane telling us that for Dial, the team thinks it may have been just a loose wheel. So that's a great catch by Ryan Dial in the sense that, unfortunately, he sensed it as they were heading down through the roller coaster, so quick run into the pits.
Remember yesterday, Vilander put that move on Marcelli late in the going.
Yes.
I was thinking of doing the same thing on another Acura right now.
Yeah, he attacks when he senses opportunity. It's he's very decisive when he makes an overtake too, isn't he?
Yeah, and Marcelli had made the determination. He wanted that class win. He realized that Vilander was pushing hard. Just to reiterate, for Vilander, he gets scored on where he finishes overall. So you think, well, why is he battling a different class? Well, he's going to pick up points if he can pass Cameron here, just like he did around Marcelli yesterday.
Yeah, it's 3 points, isn't it? So, I mean, we've seen championships come down to closer than that, obviously. And Soule,
he's flying.
He is.
Just broke into the 44s.
That's a quick lap. Yeah. Considering the pole lap was a 43.3. There's a look at Marcelli as he continues his pursuit of Colin Brown in that red and white Mercedes. Colin driving with George Kurtz in the CrowdStrike Amazon Web Services entry, and then Marcelli in that red, white, and black Acura from Racer's Edge, the EPRP support on that car behind him. Very impressed here with the 99 Matt Plum. Now that they've been able to dial that car up a little bit. Matt is certainly a great talent, and they've got that car working, and he is wheeling on it, giving it a great run. Then the 91 of Matt Campbell. We'll talk a little bit more about Matt here in a little while. What a start to the year he has had driving for Porsches globally. And then in the 10th spot, the 24 Allegra Porsche in the hands of Marco Holzer. You ride on board with Kyle Marcelli in the MBRP Racer's Edge Acura, currently sitting 7th overall, but 3rd in the Pro-Am category. And this is a team that a lot of people thought when they heard, Cal, that Racer's Edge was stepping up from the GT4 category up into GT3. They thought, boy, that's a big leap. Well, John Meraki and the team didn't think it was a big leap. They said, we're up for it. And what a show they put on in the opening round at Circuit of the Americas, and they're doing it again here.
They did. They took an overall pole there that weekend and got the class victory. And very much in the thick of it here, did a 2-day test. Really got Martin Barkey up to speed. He's feeling confident now behind the wheel of this machine. Grabbed the victory again yesterday, so a fantastic start. They lead the points right now in that Pro-Am class.
And of course, one of the other Acuras in the field is currently leading the class, Dane Cameron, in the 43 real-time racing Acura, having a strong run right now. And of course, Real-Time Racing, one of the historic teams that own most of the records for a team in World Challenge competition. And of course, the owner and team principal, a driver who owns most of the records. Petey Cunningham is with Ryan.
That's right, Peter Cunningham down here. It's so great to see Real-Time back on the grid with the GT3. I know you ran the NSXs a couple of years ago, but to see you guys stepping back up, that has to be exciting, especially as well as the car has been running here at Virginia International Raceway.
Yeah, we're really happy so far. It's early days for this program. The fabric of the team is all still together, so we know a lot about the NSX. We helped with the Evo program last year. Two great drivers. Dane Cameron is a real ace, and he's doing a great job right out there now. The Ferrari and the Bentley are coming, but in Pro-Am we're leading so far. Brett Curtis will take over, so we're hoping for a great day.
We saw you yesterday in the mix fighting amongst the Pro Class cars as well. Do you have to temper your enthusiasm? I know you'd like to be racing for an overall win, overall podium, but realistically you're looking at the class, right?
Yeah, you know, first things first, we'd like to finish as high up overall as possible. But today we're for sure just focusing on the Pro-Am victory. We had a little issue yesterday that cost us a strong position, so we're hoping for a better one today.
It's great to have you guys on the grid. Real-Time, such a part of the fabric of sports car racing here in the U.S. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Thanks a lot, Ryan.
Yeah, Petey and that team just so connected with this championship. Peter on the board of directors for the series as well. You cut him, he bleeds. Not just orange and white, but World Challenge as well.
He certainly does, and great to see that group back. They've got so much experience, and it's really making a statement to come out here and be leading their class immediately with not a lot of track time. Just did a very brief shakedown in Chicago at the Autobahn circuit there, and came in here on Friday. One of the sessions was rained out, so for them to be at the sharp end is really a testament to their skills and expertise.
There's a look at Dane in that car, and I think that's part of the equation. Certainly, Real Time has the resources, a huge amount of experience over the years to come up with a pretty good guess on a setup, and then start tweaking it for these various tracks. And then you plop a driver on board, the quality of Dane Cameron, who is certainly one of the best drivers, in my opinion, in North America these days, and I think on a global stage as well. And he's given it a heck of a run. I mean, he's hanging on in front of Tony Vielander, and also in front of a very, very fast Max Soulé in that green Bentley.
I saw Vielander a couple of laps ago get really loose coming out of Oak Tree. I wondered if that was a sign of the car. I think it may have just been a little slip up in that corner, so he got the pressure back on Dane Cameron right now. Soulé is in tandem with him also. He's not going away anywhere. Fastest lap of the race so far.
Love riding on board with Tony and the R Ferry Ferrari.
Cameron there just kind of picking the middle of the road, not inviting Tony down to the inside. He typically doesn't need an invitation anyway.
Boy, isn't that the truth. Here's a look back at this fabulous battle. Second in Pro-Am, 6th overall. And Colin Brown continuing to hang on in the CrowdStrike Amazon Web Services Mercedes. One of the two from DXDT. And then Kyle Marcelli. Then there's the red 111 competition Ferrari, the 99 of Matt Plum. White with the red side on the Ferrari. And then right behind him is Matt Campbell in the 91. Here's your leader in the AM category, Martin Fuentes in the Hublot Alpha Prime Squadra Corsa Garage Italia Ferrari. And leading in that category over the number 19 111 Ferrari of Chris Cagnazzi.
And they're in line for that Cabana Cup, that bonus. If you sweep 5 weekends, including the Vegas finale, you get 5 fast laps and 5 poles, 7 poles on the season. Big reward, $250,000. They're doing what they typically do. They're dominating right now.
Yeah, Fuentes so fast, and Cesar Baccarella is starting to really develop some speed and racecraft as well. And Martin hustling that Ferrari up through Oak Tree as Scott Hargrove comes down through the bottom of the roller coaster in the race lead. Hargrove has been able to stretch that margin out again, Cal. It had closed up to under a second. Now it's almost 1.8.
Yeah, but Soucek's last lap has been his fastest of the day at a 45.1, so they're still pacing that Bentley. It's still about 15 minutes away from that pit stop window opening.
To me, one of the fascinating things is going to be just how the teams that struggled yesterday in those pit stops, what they've done to resolve those issues and who is up to the task. Here we go through the snake. Basically turns 5A, 6A. And under the crossover bridge, and then this blast through the uphill S's.
There's a real compression in that battle for third on the road right now. Vielander is all over Dane Cameron. Soulé is right there as well. Concertina effect at the high-speed section. It spreads out a little bit when you get down to the low-speed stuff. Not much between them.
Into Oak Tree. Tony's really good into Oak Tree, isn't he?
He is, and I think he'd like to be a little bit closer, maybe try and surprise Dane late in the going as the tires start to go away. There is the opportunity to make that move that he put on Marcelli, but I'm not sure Dane is going to give it to him, and if he doesn't give it to him, there's inevitable contact, which would not be good for someone who's in very much the thick of this championship chase.
Well, you talked about him wanting to be closer as they come into Oak Tree, but that's through that climbing S's and then that very fast turn 10 we talk about the aero sensitivity of these cars. You're up behind somebody, you lose the aero in the nose. Is that just a factor of he can't be a whole lot closer because he doesn't have the stick?
That's right. He really needs a little bobble like Dane had in turn 10 a few laps ago to get a little bit closer. And think about it. Just the aero is big through that section of the racetrack. High-speed corners here through the S's.
Turn 1. Covered awfully closely here at this stage of the game. Then they've got a margin now of almost 8 seconds from Soule back to the battle for second in Pro-Am between the brown Mercedes, the Marcelli Acura, the plum Ferrari, etc. This battle, though, is so stout right now. Cameron still leading in Pro-Am in front of a couple of top-flight pro cars.
Top 8 cars are running lap times within 0.2 of one another, Greg. The level is so high.
As we said, it's all the pros starting the second of the races on a doubleheader weekend. You see this kind of performance. Riding on board with Tony Vilander in the R. Ferry Ferrari as he looks back at Maxime Soule in the number 3 Bentley. Vilander and Miguel Molina, the defending champions in the Pirelli World Challenge GT Series, as it was called last year, and right up in the points battle. As we now hop on board with Soule down through the roller coaster, chasing Vilander.
Ferrari looked pretty strong on the straightaway as well. It's almost like he's getting like a Formula 1 type DRS help, though, with Dane Cameron's towing him along. Otherwise, the Bentley may be closing a little bit more quickly. Really strong at the top end in terms of its velocity.
Well, and with this second generation of the Bentley Continental GT3, and talking to the team, talking to Darren Law and the drivers, as Soule right up now on Vilander, they said one of the things they did, because they felt with all the changes they made mechanically to the car, moving the engine back and down, moving the driver around, to get the car to be a little bit more responsive, more agile through the twisty bits of the track, they said, we felt we could give up just a little bit of downforce to get rid of a little drag, and that car was always pretty good in a straight line, and now if it is indeed running a little less drag, that's a potent weapon.
It really is. It's going to be tough to beat. They've got off to an excellent start. Remembering last year, the 2018 campaign, couldn't catch a break, went through chassis like we go through cookies, and but they've come out of the box strong here with this second-gen car. Big points on the board for Perrin and Soucek. It's ominous.
Andy Soucek, as he hangs on to second. Here's that battle for third, fourth, and Soule in fifth out of Oak Tree. And boy, did you hear that little harmonic? That's one of the things I love about international multi-class sports car racing. Each of those engines puts up a little different sound, and sometimes you get that harmonic when you get these different drive lines and engine layouts up on the pipe together. Yeah, I'm a sucker for it. I admit it. So, down through the roller coaster. And
Yellow.
Ooh, big off. That is Soucek.
He has dropped a wheel there on the exit coming on this front straightaway. Driver who's been under immense pressure. He did not have a good Bathurst this year. Bentley, I believe, sat him down for the 8 hours. This is not what he needs. This is the championship leader. He may have dodged a bullet here in terms of any major damage to that car. He heads to pit lane. I wonder if he's got a problem which caused the spin in the first place.
That's what I was thinking as soon as I saw. Look at, yeah, left rear is gone.
Rear is gone. So apologies to Andy. Maybe there's a technical problem there that caused him to fly off the road.
Well, your point's well taken, and he responded with a magnificent drive and win yesterday, exactly what he needed to do. But, yeah, this could be pretty significant here. It'll be interesting to find out exactly what the issue is. I'm trying to see.
It's gone. The wheel's gone, isn't it? Oh, no.
It's the tire, though, for sure.
Couldn't see
All
it
right.
initially.
He's made his way down into the pit lane. Watch for this angle. Yeah, he was off way early, Cal.
He did. He got so lucky he didn't make contact with anything hard.
Yeah, I mean, we had a little bit of rain last night, so that grass could have been a bit damp. Fortunate indeed. Boy, the K-Pax crew getting that tire and getting him back out in stellar fashion.
Well, they have so much experience over the years running endurance races with pit stops, so they'd have been up on the task immediately. And the crew will inspect this, Pirelli, and see if they can see where the damage was created.
Well, and one of the things, Pirelli stepping up its program with the championship this year, having more engineers on site, and after the team looks at it, they will no doubt take that carcass back and give it some very serious study. So now Hargrove has himself a little bit of breathing room. Okay, a lot of breathing room at this stage. Back to Dane Cameron. Meanwhile, after that quick stop, let's get down to Ryan with program manager Darren Law.
Yeah, we saw the tire come off the car. We saw the spin, but we don't know cause and effect. What do you know, Darren?
As far as I know, I don't know why it went down. We had warning on telemetry about 4 corners before that, and we told him to pit, but he couldn't get slowed up enough in time before it actually blew, so I'm not sure why it happened.
He was having a good run before that and a race winner yesterday as well. Sorry to see that, Darren.
Yeah, sorry to see it too, but we've got the other car in, and we'll see how it goes. Pit stops are still coming.
Thank you.
I'll tell you, the fact that they noticed that on telemetry, and he was probably getting out of it a little bit. He was getting out of it just a little bit as well. That was big. It could have been a lot worse.
I think they stayed on the lead lap, so that will be good news if they could catch a break with a caution and get a little bit of a reset and a stack up. Ideally, you'd love it before they come into pit lane, but either way, they'll take it any way they can to try and get back in the thick of things and get back in that top 10 and try and score some points here today.
Well, he had been putting down some pretty quick laps, so he just has to put his head down, do what he can, and as you said, hope for a caution, hope for something that will get him back into play here. But Hargrove up front now over Cameron, running second, Vilander third, and then the number 3 Bentley now sitting in the 4th spot. Here is your leader, Hargrove, and last time by now he had about 5.5 seconds in hand back to Dane Cameron, but he's going to do everything he can to continue to stretch this margin out. Today's coverage is brought to you in partnership with Optima Battery, with Bentley, and with Porsche. Big developments here, but for Scott Hargrove, having that little bit of a margin.
Did not have a good last lap, Greg. A high 46. That lead has gone from over 5-6 seconds to down to just under 4. Vilander's keeping the pressure on Cameron, keep pushing him ahead. Soule's dropped off a little bit. Maybe with that cut tire on the lead, Bentley, the number 9, they've radioed through to Soule to really be careful in terms of the abuse of the curbs here. That will compromise your lap time some. Until they can get an inspection when they change all 4 during this pit stop rotation coming up shortly.
It starts in just a little over 5 minutes, right? When that pit window should open.
It's not necessarily the leader has the first opportunity. As soon as the clock hits 50 minutes to go, anyone can hit pit lane. And by the time you get 40 minutes to go, everyone should at least be on pit lane or being in and out. 60 seconds is the delta time. If you're under that, you're in trouble.
I gotta believe that Tony Vilander's getting a little tired of orange.
He's a feisty character, but I love his passion for the sport, his ability behind the wheel, and I love the way he goes racing. Some beautiful moves there after that little stumble early.
Well, and his honesty. I mean, you know, you ask him a question, you're going to find out just how he feels. You know, he doesn't dance a lot around things. He just tells you, and that's appreciated, you know. And once again, we remark about it all the time, how they blended the history and traditions of Ferrari with the Ferrari red with those gold wheels that harken back to the glory days of the championship of makes in the 60s and 70s. But being it's a Canadian-based team, they got the Canadian flag across the roof of the car. They've been able to draw away a little bit again from Soule.
Yeah, I just wonder if Soule's just backed off the pace a little bit. Team would have probably radioed him, listen, Andy had a problem with the tire, make sure you get through to the mandatory pit stop window. We can take a look. That may drive them a little bit to come in early so they can inspect the tires. You would expect all of the Pro-Am runners, including Dane Cameron's car, to stay out as long as they can, keep their faster driver in to execute lap time whilst they have time to do it.
Here's Cameron in the white and orange Acura. That margin to Hargrove, by the way, last time by, down to under 3 seconds, 2.9. And see what happens as this lap completes when they come through timing and scoring. Scott Hargrove continues to lead, but Dane Cameron, under the pressure of Tony Vilander, closing it up just a little bit, as we're going to take a full lap around this great facility. On board the number 61 of Tony Vilander.
Section here, just got to hit your marks. Up ahead, these two can see that Hargrove is backing up here. He's lost his pace big time. It's like he's hit a cliff potentially with the tire performance. He is losing over a second a lap. 3 laps in a row there to this chasing duo.
What a great sequence of corners. Here's turn 10.
So well. As he was leaning on the TC there, even late in this green flag run on the tires. P0 is really working well. That Porsche up front is getting bigger. They're catching him.
2 laps ago was 2.9. Last lap 2.2. Cameron to Hargrove.
More lap and then the leader can pit if he's in trouble. Expect Cameron to stay out and extend that run before he turns it over to Brett Kurtz.
Well, we saw from the get-go Hargrove was pushing hard. I mean, that opening lap, the car sideways a lot. He certainly has taken it out of the tires. 0.9.
Cameron just laid down his fastest lap of the race. He is on the charge. He'd love to grab the lead before he pits.
That was 1.2 seconds faster than Hargrove now.
Going to be all over him here. And that pit window should be open next time by for Scott Hargrove. Does he dive? Is he in trouble here? Is he feeling something in the race car? Cameron is on the charge.
And it is a 60-second minimum time in pit lane, but yesterday's race, Cal, only a couple of teams really got close to that. K-Pax and Wright, a number of teams were in the 8 to 15 seconds over that margin. They have to snug that up if they want to have a realistic shot here. We'll find out who's up for it. But boy, Cameron is just gnawing away now at that margin to Hargrove. It's gone. It's a car length.
It's gone. This is going to be a battle for the lead potentially by the time you get to the roller coaster. Does Hargrove bail? Does he hit pit lane this lap? Pit window should open right now. There you see the mark on the board. 50 minutes to go.
Cameron's got it. He can start to feel a little bit of that toe. He looks.
Hargrove doesn't want to give it to him. Oh, he takes it in real deep. Dane kicks up some dirt to the inside of 14. He's got to be careful here. Hopefully the team have told him the pit stop window is open. Be careful if Hargrove suddenly checks up and hits pit lane. There he goes.
He's in.
Vilander stays out.
Cameron into the lead. Vilander into second.
Hargrove was hanging on, a brilliant stint, a great rebound from yesterday's little error. Awesome stuff from Scott Hargrove.
And of course the team, Wright Motorsports, John Wright, will be looking at all the data, figuring out how they want to pressure up this new set of tires that is going to go on. This amazing 4911 GT3R. Hargrove out. Pat Long climbing in. Ryan?
did. Scott Hargrove did not report any problems with that race car, but we saw the pace dropping off, so I'm curious to get a chance to talk to him in just a moment. You touched on the rebound he's had that accident yesterday, put that out of his mind, turned in a brilliant start to grab the lead and built that lead up pretty big there for a moment. This stop looks pretty good. Patrick was sitting and waiting. I'll be curious what you guys say the official time looks like.
Yeah, we'll give it to you. The crew's happy. They should be. Wow. 60.6.
Tighter than we saw yesterday. That's a really nice stop.
Very, very nice stop. But Ryan, I'm going to be interested to hear if they made any kind of a change in tire pressure for Pat in his stint. Yeah, you can hear in the background that crew very happy about that stop. Michael De Casadian, he'll be turning over to Daniel Morad, and they're already way long. Eversley turning over to Bechtelsheimer. They're in and long on their stop as well.
Oh, Cameron, big wiggle there through Hogpen. Trying to drain every ounce of grip out of those Pirelli P0s before he has to hit pit lane. And again, with the Pro-Am drivers, you would have to think the strategy is keep the fast guy in until the last possible moment and keep burning those laps down. But Vilander, he is catching him.
And bringing Soule right along with him. That might be more of a function of Cameron's lap times slowing down a little bit, allowing Vilander and Soule to gather him up just a bit. They still have the better part of 11 seconds in hand back to Colin Brown in fourth. These three have checked out just a little bit.
Cameron went on that big charge. You could see that Hargrove was backing up, and he really laid down some immense laps there, but maybe he's just taking that last ounce of grip out of those Pirelli P0s. How hard does Tony Vilander push to get the lead here before the finish here? He knows that Pat Long is going to have fresh Pirelli P0s. They've got to be careful. They've got to observe those laps by Pat Long to make sure he doesn't start cutting some fast ones with the undercut. Maintain track position on the Ferrari.
And up in front of this group, you can see now Daniel Morad behind the wheel of the number 22 Allegra Insig Healthcare Solutions Porsche. Their stop, 71.8 seconds, and that's what we were talking about. You work so hard to get a second or two on the track and lose it all almost 12 seconds long. And for the number 5 Gradient team, they were 27 seconds long in their stop. So a lot of work some of these teams need to do here.
If I was our Ferry, I'd be thinking about pitting Tony Vilander. Here he comes. You can't stay out too long. Once Pat Long gets in a rhythm, he's going to cut really fast lap times, and you're going to lose that delta immediately. I like the fact that he just took a couple of laps, hot tire laps for Tony Vilander. Try and execute this pit stop. Maybe they can leapfrog around Pat Long when Molina jumps in.
And Cameron might be catching some traffic in the form of Daniel Morad on some cold tires. Here comes Vilander into the R Ferry pit. Ryan?
Enrico Diano, the team manager, he's got the lollipop. He pulls it up because that was a perfect stop right there from Tony Vilander. Stopped right on his marks. That helps the crew out marvelously. Miguel Molina being belted into this Ferrari right now. Remember, Vilander lost a couple of spots there on the start, but put in a nice drive to recover. He was running up in second at the time of this stop. Looks like a little trouble with the window netting. That's not a problem. The door is closed. Last tire going on now. We'll see what the time looks like. The fuel is out, waiting for the car to drop off the jacks, and he's underway, but that one took a little while.
Let's see, I don't think they're going to be cutting it too fine. Looks like they may be a few seconds over, 62.1. So, yeah, definitely not as fast as the Wright Motorsports. I think if they dropped the car a little bit earlier, he could have been fine. There is Pat Long on hot tires. Molina will be defenseless right here. Pat Long should be able to cut through, but Molina's going to try and defend. Tough part of the racetrack. Long looks to the outside. Molina doesn't give it to him. Critical corners right now. Hot tires versus cold.
Oh, Long working the outside. Is he there? No. Molina runs wide into the grass.
Wow.
Long not able to work his way through yet. Tough to get anything done here through the snake and the S's.
Talk about Tony Vilander staying out 2 extra hot laps on those tires. Gave them the track position. but now it's countered by the fact that Molina's got to get load in those tires. Pat Long needs to think about this. He needs to set up getting through Oak Tree, getting the power down that little bit earlier, and trying to get along the flank of this Ferrari before they get to the brake zone for the roller coaster. Traffic involved as well. Oh, did he bump him? Woo!
So close. And this is huge. And the big question, of course, Cal, is the pressures that the starting pressure of the tires for Molina.
This task is getting tougher. We see one of the Bentleys in. The number 3 car, Soule, has had an amazing run. Baptista, can he rebound like Hargrove has today after his little off yesterday? Beautiful pit stop. They couldn't release him. Let's see how tight they are.
How did he do?
60.2.
Oh, my goodness. That is tight.
Cutting it close.
About as good as you can get. Here comes that battle.
There you see it. Hot laps by Soule has given them the track position. Baptista needs to get up to speed, and he's got a margin. Beautiful stuff by Capex. Great execution. Cameron continues to lead, extending this run. But he's getting closed up. Pit window is running out of time.
Boy, Capex executed their stops brilliantly yesterday and have repeated it here today. What a... Take a look at the overall time in pits for the teams that have stopped here, and you can see just remarkable. Now, of course, some of those that look way short, that's just actual tire changes and the like that were not part of the mandatory pit window. And it looks like things have equalized a little bit for Pat Long. He's just not quite as aggressive under the back of Molina.
Well, I think their strategy was driven by the fact that Hargrove was in trouble. They had to get him to pit lane. Yep. And then with Pat Long going out on cold tires and Vilander staying out, admittedly on well-worn rubber, but hot rubber, that gave them the position. But the 3 car did it even better, and it was gained them track position. It's going to be interesting when Cameron makes his pit stop, because he's going to turn it over to Brett Curtis. If they can do a very strong pit stop, Curtis may have the lead, but he's going to have these experienced runners breathing down his neck.
Well, one of the unfortunate things is looking up at those times.
Cameron's in.
He is.
Not a good start, 65. So Curtis should just be exiting pit lane. And these front runners on hot tires, there they are. Baptista goes around him. That's full position right there. The real-time car loses the lead overall. They should still have the Pro-Am lead. Molina stuffs it down the inside. Brett just needs to get into his rhythm now. Long's going to be on the attack. Needs to give him this position as well. Now settle in.
And a lot of these Pro-Am teams struggling with their stops, running 5, 7, 8 seconds long. But the real, problem here. Ryan.
Down in pit lane, it is the Bentley that had the problems earlier. Andy Soucek has dove out of the race car. He was on fire there briefly. They had a problem with the fuel nozzle getting engaged. The fuel spilled out and it immediately ignited. The team immediately went to work. The fire crew did their job and extinguished the fire. Andy's safety gear appeared to do its work as well, but there was a big ball of fire down here in the K-Pax pit lane for a brief moment. It was a scary moment, but everyone leapt to their responsibilities and did their job beautifully.
Great reaction, but always a spooky moment when something like that happens.
Yeah, and when you have a hot race car and fuel being spilled around the sides of it with the exhaust and everything, very easy for it to go up.
But when all was said and done, an absolutely great stop by the number 3 Bentley. Now Rodrigo Baptista at the controls and drawing away, leading here at Virginia International Raceway. Baptista now coming up on the back of David Askew in the DXDT Usalco Mercedes, one of the Pro-Am category cars. Rodrigo, of course, having that bit of a moment up in the Oak Tree turn yesterday. We saw the response that Scott Hargrove had after his little mistake. See if Rodrigo can dial it up here and haven't answered. This is going to hurt him, though. He's going to get hung up a little bit, and Molina's coming.
He really is. Baptista can't afford to lose too much time here. To David up through the S's here, going to try and clear him if he can. And he gets the job done. That's good news for for Rodrigo. Because Molina is on the charge. Doesn't look like Pat Long can do anything with the Ferrari at this stage of the run, but you never know in the latter stages of a good green flag run whether that Porsche comes to life a little bit more.
Now Molina going to get hung up just a little bit, losing a bit of ground here. See whether he's able to have the straight line speed to be able to get around that Mercedes.
David Askew has really done a great job here. Got a great mentor, co-driver and coach in Ryan Leal. Team's doing a great job going from strength to strength this year. See Pat Long flashing his headlights. He wants to get David's attention as well.
There's Baptista, there's Molina, then Askew, and then Pat Long, the number 58 Porsche. Oh, Pat working hard to try and get through. Look here, Kevin Milstein in that black Porsche for K2R Motorsports. Behind him, the number 91 of Anthony Imperato.
Imperato up to second in the Pro-Am class. Gonna have to see his lap times compared to Brett Curtis. Had a quick spin there. He's got some work to do to try and recover.
Yeah. Quick recovery, but that's valuable time lost here. And he is back on the charge, trying to work his way up through the Pro-Am field. Anthony Imperato in the 91 Pro-Am Wright Motorsports Henry Porsche picking up a spot after a quick spin, Cal.
Yeah, he's dropped down to third in class. George Kurtz has got around him. The CrowdStrike Mercedes AMG. Brett Curtis continues to lead for real time of the ACA NSX. That spin by Imperato definitely hurt him in terms of track position and the gap to the leader. So he's got to dig deep, find a rhythm.
And unfortunately, in this Pro-Am battle, we completely expected to see the number 80 Racer's Edge MBRP Acura Martin Barkey taking over from Kyle Marcelli. However, Cal, in their stop, it was 2 minutes and 17 seconds long. Something going catastrophically wrong during that exchange.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. They've performed miracles this year, but they've really got to pull a rabbit out of their hat now to get back in the big points. They have the championship lead coming into today's race.
By a nice margin, some 19 points, but that can evaporate in a hurry. Had that win yesterday and in the Pro-Am category. That's impressive enough, but they did it with a 4th overall finish.
Marcelli is the real deal, and I think Barkey will go from strength to strength this year as well under his guidance. Great to see those two working together. Carl got into Martin's sides a few years ago when he tried to make a proposal and sat down in front of him. Martin turned him down that time and since came back again and really believes in the young man. So great to see the support that Martin has given Carl Marcelli throughout his career now.
And when Stefan Johansson says he'd like to manage you, that's an indication that you've got some skills.
Guy wins races, just rock solid, extremely fast.
In anything, he's just plain quick. Baptista, now Molina trying to work his way by on Martin Barkey. With that longish stop, obviously Martin will be fired up just a little bit, and he's fast. There's no question of that. Molina showing the nose here. Will Martin just let him through? He does.
Just get them out of your hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Find some space, get back in a rhythm and focus. Pat Long next up, trying to clear the NSX. He's going to get balked a little bit here. This will cost him big time.
A nice job there. Smart just moving way to the inside. I assume he's telling Pat, I'll give you the outside. And again, that's no problem for the Pro-Am cars. They are scored as they finish, not in the overall. So for the pros, it's important to get by the Pro-Am cars. For the Pro-Am cars, it's not a big deal, other than ego hit when you have to lose a spot in the overall. And now that they've cleared some traffic here, this lead trio, there's some clear track in front. It'll be interesting to see just who's got what level of pace right now, Cal.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. Pat Long car didn't come to life, so maybe they're just factoring in the longer run. They've certainly got a read of what Hargrove did. He was extremely rapid in the early go, but then really seemed to hit a cliff in performance, and Pat Long's up on the wheel, so I'd have to think it was maybe something to do with the tire deck and the balance of the car towards the end of Scott's run.
Rodrigo Baptista, the number 3 Bentley Continental GT3 with the blue highlights out of Oak Tree on that long run. Molina, as you ride on board, giving chase with Long in his rear view viewfinder. Today's coverage is brought to you in partnership with Purple Monkey Garage and with Ferrari. On board with Miguel Molina. Margin that he's looking at the back of that Bentley, 1.6 seconds. Ironically, he has almost identical margin, 1.6 back to Pat Long behind him.
Let's not forget, with the 9 car having its drama here today, the 61 car with a solid podium run should assume the lead of this championship tonight.
That's true. Came in only 9 points out. So big opportunity there.
Could go from a 9-point deficit to a 9-point lead.
Well, and interestingly, the number 3 Bentley that's leading now came in third, down 15 points. So this whole championship could end up packing up very smartly here. Came in really tight, opened up after yesterday's race. Ooh, Rodrigo really pushing hard down into turn 10.
Yeah, he didn't want to give up that last part of the S's there, so it looked like Baccarella opened the door for him, but even so got into that at a very strange angle and got away with it. But you can tell it's an awfully tough section of the racetrack. And you know, for Baptista, he's all about setting up for 11 and 12. He doesn't want to repeat the problem of yesterday.
Long now trying to get by on Cesar Baccarella, leader in the AM category. In that green, white, and red.
Long's running really consistent lap times. He's not going away. He's going to try and keep those leaders within sight. 30 minutes to go.
Well, when you see somebody running those extremely consistent laps, that's generally an indicator of doing a little tire managing, isn't it?
It is. And he certainly wanted to grab that position for the Ferrari. It's very tight in the overlap between their different strategies with the pit stop cycle. And obviously, Soule did an amazing job on his in-lap to really get the hammer down, allow the Capex team to really perform a brilliant pit stop and grab the lead. Technical section of the racetrack uses all of the road there. Miguel Molina so smooth behind the wheel.
Just ticking those curves, not getting aggressively up and over them,
like
risking any kinds of damage. Yeah. Now up through the legendary climbing S's. Rodrigo Baptista leading up front. Margin about 1.4 seconds last time by start finish. However, Molina marginally quicker on that last lap, and it looks like Long has made up a little ground on this lap. And of course, starting in that number 58 Porsche Consulting Wright Motorsports, Ryan, was Scott Hargrove. What a drive.
Yeah, what a remarkable start as well for you, Scott, especially considering all the work that had gone into this car overnight. I know you had the hardship lap, but where did the confidence to go for it in turn 1, lap 1 come from?
Yeah, well, based off yesterday's race, I knew basically my only chance to get the Bentley was on the start. So regardless of what happened yesterday, I put it behind me and I was fully focused on today. I felt really bad, obviously, for the Wright Motorsports crew. They had to work. Some of them drove down to Florida and got back only at 4 a.m. to get some parts. So really feel bad for the guys, and hopefully made it up to them a little bit there. But I tell you, on that beginning stint, our Wright Motorsports Porsche was on rails. So I got a good run, and the Bentley blocked down to the inside on the first corner, and then I knew I only had a couple corners to do it, so I shot it around the outside, and it just managed to stick, and then from there on, we were pushing pretty flat out, and unfortunately, with about 5 laps until my pit stop, a tire delaminated, and I completely lost the inside shoulder of the tire. So up until then, everything was going really smooth, and then just kind of fell apart on us there. So that's why we're still the last couple laps there. But I think Pat's on it now, and hopefully he can get back up there.
What's the message to Pat about the state of the car when he took over?
Yeah, the car's fantastic. There's nothing wrong with the car. Of course, we had to use our qualifying tires for the race, so those have about an extra 15-20 minutes on them compared to the new set that he's on now. So we don't figure there's going to be any issues, but obviously it's on the back of all of our minds, and we're hoping, fingers crossed, we get to the end.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
That's Scott Hargrove.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. And he made the comment about it, so I knew I had to do it. I just threw it around the outside and was able to make it stick. Stick being a relative term, because as I recall, that was a bit of opposite lock with the tail sideways coming through that corner. He willed it around the outside.
He did. He brought up a great point, however, in terms of their starting tires, the ones they qualified on, so they got a few more miles on them. When you make the driver change, you're allowed to throw a fresh set of Pirelli P0s at the car, so this second stint should be a little bit easier for the drivers behind the wheel now.
Well, that's something we haven't talked a lot about. As you come into these weekends, each team is allotted so many new tires that they can use. How they use them is up to them. So it's a matter of managing those tires throughout the course of the weekend. I'm surprised we had that one wet session where you wouldn't have been out on one of the slick tires, and wet tires don't really factor into that car count, that they still had to use a set of tires that had so many laps on them from the qualifying session.
Yeah, I know. It's a real strategy to that, and all of the top teams are very much on top of it. But Baptiste and Molina, they're just continuing to run very consistent lap times within about a tenth of a second of one another. Nothing to choose between the speed of the top three right now.
Here's a look at that is the number 22 Allegra Porsche, currently in the hands of Daniel Morad, who is, I love it, he's started up in Canada his own little apparel line called Moradness.
Some cool stuff.
It is, and it's taken off just a little bit.
It's taken off just a little bit too. He's got around George Kurtz here, so making some moves.
He's running some pretty good laps when he's not working traffic here. So you take a look at George Kurtz in the CrowdStrike Amazon Web Services DXDT Mercedes. He shares with Colin Brown.
On line for a potential podium yesterday, but Colin just got bumped around a little bit in that restart down into turn one, so dropped to the bottom part of the top six, but still a strong run. George Kurtz really coming back on form. Was our GTSA champion in 2017, had a quiet 2018 campaign, but he's loving life right now behind the wheel of this Mercedes.
Absolutely, and as we're watching Morad here, we talked about it, was 2 years ago. He put in an amazing drive, started on the outside of the front row, and in the exact same type of car, he held off Jerome Bleekemolen for his entire stint, turned it over to Ryan Dial, who went on for the win. Then last year, put the car on the outright pole here. Daniel, his breakout track, and also clearly a track that he has lots of speed on.
He really does. He's comfortable here, and it shows in the pace he displays every weekend when he competes at VIR.
And he is currently running in the 6th overall spot in the Allegra Motorsports Insync Healthcare Systems Porsche. Unfortunately for Daniel Morad in the Allegra Porsche, heading down to the bottom of the turn into the hogped section of track, the exchange from Michael De Quesada to Daniel Morad in that pit stop ran fairly long. They didn't get the qualifying and starting position they wanted at any rate. They had that issue during the race yesterday as well, but that stop just went long for them. And now they're trying to pick up the pieces, and Daniel doing a nice job throwing down some good laps when he's got clear track count.
Yeah, see, David Askew had to hit pit lane once again, so drama there, of course. And And it's been a big day for K-Pax, Ryan. Had one car in front early, now the other one leads.
Yeah, and we just get a message board, drive-through penalty. That was the reason for the 63. That was the reason for the 63, a pit stop infringement of some sort. Generally, if it's speeding, it comes up as that, so that normally means maybe a piece of equipment in the wrong spot or something along those lines. And that's why he was in pit lane. As we hop back on board with Molina. Oh, look at this.
This is not scheduled
at all. All right, well, he is heading down to the pit lane. And Ryan, are you as surprised as we are, or have you heard something?
No, I'm pretty surprised too. That said, the team quickly got up and they got a tire ready, and given the problems we've seen throughout the weekend with some of the curbing here, that might lead us to believe it could be a tire issue. So it looks like the left rear is what is being changed. This is a big hit for this Ferrari operation. Unfortunately, they were running really strong, but looks like this unscheduled pit stop, Miguel Molina just shaking his head right now.
Well, we have seen a lot of cars have, in every category here this weekend, having issues with tires when they get and catch on these curbs. And more often than not, there have been exceptions, but more often than not, Cal, it's been that left rear that seems to be taking the brunt of things.
Yeah, it does, and I think this has dropped Molina down to about the 6th position, so big point swing there that for a team that could have had the championship lead this evening.
Absolutely, came in here only 9 points out, started outside of the front row, and now get back on track and find themselves going to be chasing here Daniel Morad as they work up through the snake and into the S's here. You know, one of the nice things in this modern era of racing is the sensors on the car to be able to, you catch it early enough, you sense something's not right, let's get him in and save perhaps something catastrophic happening, but it does put you behind the 8 ball in terms of position. And you're riding on board, folks, with Miguel Molina in the R. Ferry Ferrari. However, that car now has dropped down the order, a surprise pit stop, and changing the left rear tire on that car has cost them dearly in terms of track position and position in terms of class right now. But apparently the sensors picking up an issue, and with all the issues that we've seen this weekend, with the abrasiveness, sharp edges of some of the curbs around here, the R. Ferry team electing to exercise on the side of caution. Here's a look at that stop. And it was that left rear corner getting that tire replaced.
A little bobble there in the wheel gun. I think it was switched the wrong way. They recover nicely. And he'll start to put the pressure on as he gets that right rear, that left rear with some tire temperature. He'll try and see if he can get around Morad before the end of this race.
He's going to hustle it up just a little bit here. Morad awfully quick here. And right now, up front, Rodrigo Baptista continues to look very strong. Has a margin that, Ryan, he's opened up to almost 4 seconds.
Yes, and that is the good news for K-Pax. And certainly Darren Law will spend some time on the good news. But first, we had to check in about the pit fire that happened a few minutes ago. First of all, is everyone all right?
Yeah, so everybody's okay. Crew's fine. Alvaro's fine. He was the one that was kind of in the mix of it, so that's the most important part. We're happy about that. You know, it looked like the drivers bumped the fueler, and the probe just got, a little bit sideways and didn't get locked in, so it spilled some fuel and lit up off the exhaust. So it's unfortunate.
On the bright side, the sister car is having a really good run, and you were telling me you guys made a strategy call that really helped vault you up the running order.
Yeah, there's a couple things there. Number one, the K-Pax guys have been practicing pit stops day and night, so they've been very, very fast all weekend, which has been really good. And then, we've got Thomas Blom on strategies, who I don't think anybody's better than him. And we basically were looking at the traffic and timing it and picking the right time to come in so that we had a proper run coming off, and it's paid off. It put us out in front of everybody else. I mean, unbelievable pit stop.
I know yesterday things didn't go entirely as planned for Rodrigo. Is that bouncing around in the back of your mind or his mind at all at this point?
Not now. He's out there. He's focused. I mean, the goal here is to stay out front and stay out of trouble and just get it to the end. So hopefully we make it to the podium at least with one of them again.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you, Darren.
All right, thank you.
Saw the replay of the incident that Rodrigo was involved in yesterday. And, Scott Hargrove, similar scenario, and just put it behind him and used it to put in a tremendous drive. And it certainly seems that Rodrigo Baptista is exercising that same sort of approach. Maybe exercising is the right word in terms of his villains.
That's what the top pros do, and this time last year he was regarded as an am. He is definitely a top pro.
Interesting, Darren, talking about how the driver bumped the refueler in that stop and it changed it. You have to remember that these cars, they got the driver on the opposite side, and normally you don't have the driver exiting and entering on the same side as the refueling.
It's very congested there on the right-hand side of the car with the clockwise nature of this race circuit. So pit lane and where you come in, suddenly you try to get the driver out, tire changes happening. It gets really busy.
Watching here, Pat Long has taken a few tenths back off of Baptista. The margin was up to about 3 seconds not long ago. It's down to 2.6. As we are heading into the final 17 minutes of this fourth round of the Blancpain GT World Challenge America here at Virginia International Raceway, presented by Henry. And speaking of Henry, there is a look at the number 91 Henry Porsche of Anthony Imperato.
Yeah, running in third position in class, trying to chase down George Kurtz after that little spin earlier on.
He's been running marginally quicker than George has as well, isn't he? And he's up behind David Askew right now in his pursuit. Today's coverage is being brought to you in partnership with BP Racing Fuel, with Acura, and with Lamborghini. Motorsports Henry Porsche, currently sitting third in the Pro-Am category. There's the second place car, that red Mercedes that just flashed through. David Askew's number 63, down a lap to this group. There is a look at George Kurtz, currently second in the Pro-Am category. But are you as impressed as I am with Brett Curtis's run since he took over from Dane Cameron in the real-time machine? Oh, problem for Martin Barkey.
The exit of Hogbend there on the front straightaway. Got to be so careful of the speed these cars come on at that front straightaway. Finds a gap. See if he continues. If it was just a little driver error there on the exit of the corner. I assume so. He hasn't hit pit lane.
If that was just a driver error, it's really the first one I've seen from Martin this season. Oh, a little wiggle there.
See him get up on the curb. Just looked like the angle of attack. He didn't really sort of like set up to cut back across the apex there, so it's a little bit head on, and that exit of the road comes up in a hurry.
Just has to gather it up, calm the nerves a little bit, and go back after it.
So no margin for error here.
Yes.
Be so precise, and if you do make a mistake, you're just praying that you get away with it.
As I said, I'm sure they're a little frustrated having had that stop. That was with 1 minute being the minimum time at 2 minutes and 17 seconds. That will frustrate everybody on that program. They will be working on that. Meanwhile, look here, Baptista coming down as we're under 15 minutes to go in this fourth round of the championship.
Across the line last time was 2.5 seconds. They've really been trading equal laps. Baptista increases it by 1/10 of a second, so nothing between these two leaders. Key's going to be those last 10 minutes. Does either one of them fall off a little bit in pace?
Interesting little battle here. That's Cesar Baccarella, who's leading in the AM category in the Squadra Corsa Garage Italia Hublot Alpha Prime Ferrari. As he's coming up to put a pass on here, the 38 of Kevin Milstein in the K2R Motorsports portion, not for class position. And the car that's right in front of him now, however, is somebody that's running in the same class, and I think Cesar might be looking to put a lap on the number 19 here, and that would be a dominant performance by the drivers of that number 7 Ferrari. Cesar Baccarella right now leading in the AM category, and finds himself behind one of his competitors in that class. He's trying to put that car a lap down just in case there's any kind of a caution. And right now, the number 99 of Brian Kaminsky, he is the 19 of Kaminsky, fighting hard. Cesar late on the brakes, dives through underneath, up into Oak Tree.
Yeah, another dominant performance, and they're going after that Cavana Cup bonus award, Greg. Got a sweet 5 weekends, including the finale at Vegas, along with 7 fastest laps, 7 poles. They're certainly capable of doing that. Certainly a great carrot to be hanging in front of some of these teams.
Oh, for sure. It's sizable, the funding, particularly in the GT3 category here. So Baccarella.
Cesar and Martin Fuentes would have fun with $250K in Vegas at the end of the year.
Yeah, they have fun in general. You fund it like that, you bet. Down to the bottom, and of course TR3 is the group that runs this Ferrari and the Squadra Corsa Garage Italia team name. Here's a look at I think one of the drives of the day here, Brett Curtis. You know, we know Dane Cameron's got some amazing skills. Brett Curtis took over from him and really hasn't lost much at all. Wolf Hensler has gone through in the number 24 Allegra car, but Brett Curtis is staying really quite close to Hensler. I mean, you can see just up the road a little bit. What is it? I think 2.5 seconds.
Right.
And oftentimes running laps a little quicker than Wolf Hensler. Brett Curtis doing a superb job in the real-time Acura.
Yeah, and he's got a healthy lead over George Kurtz right now. 25 seconds or so, so he's just got to keep doing what he's doing, not get involved with anyone. They could have potentially had a victory here yesterday, but that little bump that he had with Martin Barkey drew the penalty in the drive-through for avoidable contact. But still a great start to their campaign. Got the decision late to embark on this Sprint X Championship. It was too late to get a chassis over here. The chassis was already on the boat being delivered. A little bit wide there. Got to be careful. There's not the grip on the outside.
You get the feeling he sensed that immediately and just waited patiently. Knew he was offline and knew he didn't have to rush it too much to make that pass. He's got a bit of breathing room. The next car in the Pro-Am category, George Kurtz, is a fair chunk back in terms of track distance right now.
He now is just staying focused. He loves his racing, though. Had a campaign over in Europe last year in the ELMS Championship. Very successful businessman, but really gives all. 91 Kai Parado is off again. Just coming on the backstretch.
It looks like it.
Those big bumps that you can hit there if you get wide over those curbs. Just take a look.
Ooh. Right as he was going hard to throttle, and even with traction control, you hit those bumps. And it snapped around on him. They were targeting a third-place finish here in the Pro-Am. I don't think he lost a lot of time. It depends on the margin back to Till Bechtolsheimer. It was some 20 seconds last lap.
Yeah, he should still be okay. Till Bechtolsheimer's had a brilliant weekend. He and Ryan Eversley had a strong podium finish here yesterday. Till led early in the going, so big weekend for that Gradient group.
Great addition to the championship, isn't it? Have them on board.
Till is a really cool character, does a lot of racing in the historic various series over in Europe. And he can wheel a car, let me tell you.
Yes, he can. And Yeah, phenomenal in yesterday's race. And doing another great job today.
One of the practice sessions in the wet.
Yeah, exactly. Good little battle starting to shape up here. This would be for 5th overall and 5th place points. Miguel Molina closing on Daniel Morad here at VIR. Molina, and boy, he's got the potential to do something here because Morad's going to catch some traffic.
Yeah, Molina looks really quick, got a great run there. They're all going to pick up the draft of the cars up in front of them. Could be really interesting by the time they get to turn 1 with this scenario.
Morad going down to the right, down to the inside of Milstein. Molina following him through.
So tight there, had to woe that Ferrari down. Nice job by Miguel reading that situation perfectly.
Yeah, he did a nice job, and I don't think Kaminsky in the number 19, the car in front of Milstein, realized that Molina was coming through right behind Morad, squeezed him a little bit. Molina reacted beautifully to it.
On the attack, it's a battle for 4th in class and 5th overall. Ferrari want to try and grab any point they can after that tire issue. Pretty high RPM, they're right at the peak of the rev range there, up through the S's.
It sounded like he was almost dancing on the limiter there a little bit.
Did.
Out of Oak Tree. This long blast down the back straight. When you have a limiter like that, you're going through a fast section of track and the limiter kicks in. They must have it set to come in very gently, because if it came in hard, it could create some issues, I would think.
Yeah, it really could have, because the power too abruptly as you're turning. It certainly affect the balance of the car, under that soft limiter. It's going to have to dig deep here to keep Molina from grabbing this possession before the finish.
You can see him just sort of protecting to the right. And looks to the inside, he's a little too far back. Morad continues to hang on, but is feeling a huge amount of pressure from the R. Ferry Ferrari. Great battle for 5th overall continues here. There you see Brett Curtis running in 3rd. Then the number 22 Allegra Instinct Healthcare Solutions Porsche of Daniel Morad. Then this car, the number 61 R. Ferry Ferrari. Miguel Molina on board. This for the 5th spot, Cal.
It is, and you can hear that Ferrari just floating those high RPM there.
Oh, we got to run.
Look to the inside. That's a tough one to make up. He's trying to distract Morad, trying to do what his teammate did yesterday. Looks to the inside. Philander made a move like that on Marcelli, a lap to go. Molina would have seen that and think it may be on. The Ferrari's got tremendous grip through that corner.
Miguel didn't get quite up alongside enough. And if Morad, if he hadn't eased up, Morad, I think, was turning in regardless. And, you know, contact's not good generally, but you don't want to be the one that judged at fault and then end up with a drive-through on top of everything else.
Yeah, and you would be at fault if you stick your nose there in 10 and 11. The guy on the outside is going to say, I had nowhere to go. You would probably draw a penalty. They can't afford to make this day that's gone a little bit sideways on them any worse.
Under 5 minutes remaining in the 4th round of the championship. Here, the Blancpain GT World Challenge America. There's Brett Curtis, and the pressure from Molina is pushing Morad closer and closer to Curtis, isn't it?
Yeah, and Curtis has just got to let these guys go. They're currently running 4th overall, but they don't need to fight this, just like Marcelli decided to do yesterday. It's all about the Pro-Am win for real time and Brett Curtis right now.
I'm looking to see what the margin is that Curtis has back to George Kurtz, and it's 22 seconds. So he could very easily, Curtis could just breathe, let these guys go. Maybe lose a second or two and still have plenty in hand in these last 4 minutes.
Certainly the team will be giving him that information. How hard do I need to push? Do I need to fight these guys or just let them go? Moran pushes to the inside. This is going to be tight. Kurtz all the way out in the dirt. Molina goes with him. Does he give him some room? Tough situation there for Brett Kurtz. He's got to be so careful in that corner as we saw yesterday with Baptista and Hargrove.
Looked like Molina didn't drift too far to the left. And Kurtz, yep, there he is. I think that was just smart. As soon as Murad came through, just let Molina go as well and go after that win in the Pro-Am category. So that is now going to promote Daniel Morad up into 4th overall, Molina into 5th overall in the Ferrari.
That's points. They were points they were grabbing there by getting by Brett Kurtz, even though it's not a battle in class. Molina got a big run going. How aggressive does he get here? Morad protects. By doing that, you're going to run out a little bit wide. That Ferrari does have the ability to tuck underneath you as you're accelerating off the first corner.
Turning into turn 3.
I feel Molina's going to stuff his nose in here somewhere before the end of this race. Fascinating battle.
Isn't it, though?
Into the stint, the drivers have not got the grip that they had earlier on. Here, I'm pretty sure that's the soft limiter there.
I think so.
This is where Molina likes his chances through this sector. Morad not cracking under the pressure.
No.
2 years ago when he had Bleeker rolling all over his rear end.
Yeah, he can withstand pressure, that's for sure. Looked like he got a little bit better run through Oak Tree.
I love how equal these various brands are here with the balance of performance.
Meanwhile, there's Brett Kurtz now back in 6th, but still leading comfortably in the Pro-Am category, the number 43 Real-Time Racing Acura NSX GT3 Evo.
A couple of laps of Brett to see the checkered flag. Really solid performance. Great to see Real-Time back in the paddocks. We look at our leader coming off of Oak Tree. Leader's ballooned out to 7+ seconds. I'm sure for Pat Long, he's probably just thinking just maintain. Going to be a good points rebound after yesterday's 0-point score. Some of the other leaders in trouble. The 9 car having a very disappointing day. 61 car having a little bit of a rebound after an unscheduled stop as well. So that'll certainly help Pat Long and Scott Hargrove.
And after the issue for this car yesterday, this finish with the others you were talking about having some problems, is going to keep this car in play for the championship as well. Baptista should see the white flag. And there it flies. Last lap. There is a look at the Porsche camp, watching what's unfolding. Baptista, Long, and Hensler. Quietly effective day for the 24 Allegra car. Bolts are doing a nice job to start things off, stayed right there, and with the problems that befell some of the others, vast experience of Wolf Hensler, that car solidly up into the top 3.
He had a good day yesterday, finished second on the road, and came from deep in the pack today. Also only qualified back in the 11th position, so a great drive by him, and then backed up by Wolfie.
We've had a solid weekend, to be sure. Time has elapsed. Number 3, Rodrigo Baptista up through Oak Tree for the final time.
Someone's out in the dust.
Looks like it may have been Bechtelsheimer.
He's pushing hard. Running in the 4th position in class.
David Askew, the Mercedes, has pulled off as well. Meanwhile, down, heading into the roller coaster for the final time, the number 3 Bentley Continental GT3, Rodrigo Baptista. Weaving down through the final couple of corners, exiting Hog Pen onto the front straight, and it is a Bentley sweep at Virginia International Raceway, but each car earning a win. And there's the celebration from the Capex crew as Rodrigo Baptista and Max Soule come through and repeat their great achievement from last year when they got a big win here as well.
Battle continues to rage. Morad and Molina still going at it. Looks like they may have got split by a Ferrari. Unless Molina's got around. I'm not sure if that is Morad up in front.
Yeah, neither. Long already through, 10 seconds adrift, taking those second place points. I think he may have gone through, Molina.
Yeah.
Because this is that same battle.
Yep.
Yep. It's the 99, I think, of Alfred Caola.
Yeah, Molina
he
got
did.
by him.
So,
He was pushing hard. He wanted those vital points.
He did. This battle in front is just overall position. Baccarella wants by, even though he's in the AM, and he will win the AM, and keeping that remarkable streak alive for he and Martin Fuentes in pursuit of the Cabana Rum Bucks. And Molina, opportunistic in the late going, finishing 4th. Issues yesterday, a great rebound by Rodrigo Baptista, doing exactly what he needed to do, Cal.
Yeah, it really was, and that's what's so impressive. We saw Scott Hargrove rebound from the little issue he had yesterday. A brilliant opening stint, really strong second place finish with he and Pat Long, and Baptista the same thing, going one better.
And you see the Mercedes of David Askew off to the left side of the track.
Nice thing about these doubleheader weekends, that gives you the opportunity, you know, waiting a few weeks to